I was asked what I thought about sex, like sexuality, what I thought about it. Because of my anti-natalist views, it's easy for people to think that, um, that I would have some kind of feelings about sex, which is true. I do have my own thoughts about it. My thing is, it's overrated. I feel like sex is something that is overly glorified, especially nowadays where, everything, every kind of topic is saturated with sex in some way. It seems like something you can't get away from, but it's just so overrated. And I think that sex is one of the worst things that happen to humankind because it keeps the cycle going. It keeps the wheel of suffering spinning. You've got these dumb mammals by the billions who are just using each other's bodies and producing more suffering to be brought into this world, this meat grinder, right? And how many people ever stop to really think about that? Not very many. Not very many. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people and they told me they were just in the heat of it, heat of the moment, right? Like animals, literally in the heat. And in their mating heat, they just had sex and out comes a baby. So it's not special. It has caused tremendous suffering through that one act. It's a deceptive pleasure. And it's not efficient. I mean, when you look at sex, you think about all the risk that come with it. You've got the risk of bringing another baby into the world, which is by itself a tremendous, horrific thing. Then you have the risk of catching diseases. You have the risk of getting involved with somebody who you shouldn't be involved with. You have the risk of drama starting. You have the risk of attachments being formed through the sex act with whoever it is you had sex with. And it's just not efficient. I think personally that masturbation is the way to go. Masturbation or abstinence or both. Because what harm are you doing by masturbating? You're getting the same dopamine rush. You're getting the same orgasmic pleasure that you would get through sex without any of the negative risk. So I don't understand why it's shunned, Well, I take that back because the religious institutions have always shunned masturbation, right? And you have to think about that. Why do they hate it so much? Because it doesn't go along with their narrative. It doesn't lead to procreation. And the church's stance, as well as Islam, is that sex is for procreation. Sexual pleasure is for bringing children into the world. So, of course, they would demonize the act of masturbation. And masturbation really is a rebellious act against the Abrahamic religions. It's saying that I'm going to fulfill this need, but in a way that doesn't revolve around your dogma, in a way that doesn't play into bringing another person into this world to suffer for no fucking reason. It's a safe orgasm. It's a safe experience compared to sex, which is unsafe, generally speaking, which leads to so much trouble and suffering. It's the reason why we're all here. It's the reason why suicides happen. It's the reason why depressions happen. It's the reason why disease and sorrows happen. All of this stuff that affects us as human beings can directly be traced back to the moment when our parents engaged in sex. Now, having said that, I am not against non-procreative sex. I'm not against two men having sex. I'm not against two lesbians having sex. I'm not against that. Any sexual act that does not lead to procreation has my blessing as far as I'm concerned. But even still, I would say that sex in and of itself is dangerous. There are things that you have to really look out for. And if you're not careful, you can end up, a victim of all sorts of things. So, I mean, I just don't understand why abstinence and masturbation has been shunned. Speaking on a non-religious side of things, it's looked at as being something that is, how do I say it? Most people think that it's lame, You know, they think that it's not the end thing to be a virgin or to practice abstinence. It's not an end thing to just masturbate. They think that you should take it further than that and actually find other bodies to use for that pleasurable experience, when in fact you can do that for yourself without even involving anybody else. And personally, I think it's more satisfactory that way. I mean, who knows the body better than you do? You know all the points that you like, you know the feelings that you enjoy, right? And you can explore with that. And it's harm-free. You're not harming anybody with that act. So I think it's much more efficient. But I just, it's really dumb how sex is glorified as being this thing you must do. You must have sex. You must participate in this promiscuity that is being, broadcasted. And it does go back to the natalism, the thing of the wheel, keeping the wheel turning. And that's what they want you to do. These governments, these religions, they want you to keep the wheel of suffering going. They want you to keep bringing children into this world to run their factories, to do their jobs, to be their wage slaves. And imagine a world where people didn't have sex, but enjoyed masturbation. Or rather, imagine a world where they didn't have procreative sex and everybody was just enjoying themselves without bringing the harm of another being into this world. Corporations would be pissed. Governments would be pissed. They would try to mandate that you have unprotected sex. They would. So it's a very powerful thing. This one subject, sex, is the most intense subject that can be brought up in terms of, antinatalism and the philosophy, because I think it's overlooked. And of course, you can avoid all these things by wearing protection or whatever else. And even still, there is risk because some diseases you can get simply through skin to skin contact without actual intercourse. So, I mean, again, it's a dangerous, inefficient thing. Yet it's so glorified. It's put on this pedestal as this prime thing in life that you must have or you're a loser, And it's just so fucking stupid. And I mean, really, if you think about it, being called a loser by the people in this society is a badge of honor. It really is a badge of honor because you've got NPCs calling you a loser. Automatons calling you a loser for not playing the same matrix that they are. And it really is a joke. It's all a joke. So yeah, I think sex is overrated. I think that if you need that pleasure, I think it's better to just masturbate and get it out the way and enjoy yourself that way. I mean, no harm, no foul. So yeah, masturbate, don't procreate.